My name is Bradley Price. I'm the Manager of Vendor Alliances here at Aquion, and I'm here just to kind of talk about Nagios. So obviously, that's the webinar that you've all registered for, you're jumping on for, and it's the purpose of course, in light of just the recent Valentine's Day, is to help your own customers fall in love with their monitoring solution. Now, obviously, network monitoring has a number of players in the market, some who are quite significant, but with these significant players as well, there's some very obvious pain points. There's one particular name out there which has sometimes brought in a lot of pain for customers. And what we want to do today is just help really just introduce you to a particular vendor, Nagios, and its solutions, which are cost effective and very effective in a marketplace, as well as have some really strong logos who utilize it, particularly in the government and enterprise space, both in Australia as well as in the greater region, and also the Department of Defense in the US, which is a good referenceable logo. Now, with that said, what I'll do is I'll just introduce you to our speaker today. His name is Michael Bellerue, who is one of the tech guys at Nagios, and he'll go over the solution and basically help you guys understand how best you can position Nagios into existing opportunities and where there can be potential prospects for you as well as just, again, seeing how you can get the best bang for buck and being able to position Nagios to your own customers. With that said, I also will say that please hang on towards the end. We do have a $250 red balloon voucher to give away, and so that will be given out just after Michael's wrapped up. So what I'll do now is I'll throw it over to Michael. But before I do, actually, if you do have any questions, please throw it into the chat box below, and we'll get to them as we can. And yeah, by all means, please by all means enjoy the webinar as much as you can enjoy a webinar. And I'll pass it over to Michael now. Thanks, Michael. Over to you.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining. My name is Michael Bellerue. I'm a technical sales engineer here at Nagios Enterprises, and I've been doing this for about 4 years now. But I've been using Nagios Core for many years. And in my time using Nagios Core, I've used Nagios in a number of ways that enhanced its value in the customer environment. So I'd like to talk about some of my experiences. Okay, first let's talk about what we're going to talk about. First off, Nagios XI and your cybersecurity strategy. Ooh, words. In this case, your customer's cybersecurity strategy. Here we're going to talk about how Nagios XI might fill in some gaps or provide a little extra visibility. This section is probably going to be most useful for larger customers who have cybersecurity tools in place and are just looking for that extra visibility. But it could also be useful for smaller customers who have more of an ad hoc strategy in place and need a tool with the flexibility to fit properly into their setup. Nagios XI plugins and automation. So plugins are critical to the very heart of Nagios XI. XI custom plugins will allow you to answer the question, can I monitor XYZ, with a very confident yes every single time. We'll also touch on automation, from first level remediation with event handlers to making infrastructure changes based off of the data returned from service checks. Automation is key to any successful IT team. And then finally, meeting customer needs with Nagios XI. I wanted to talk about meeting customer needs with XI. Normally, this area is where we would just recap a lot of the stuff that we talked about. But I kind of want to put my own spin on it. So to make it like a little more useful from a sales perspective, key phrases to watch out for and things that I have heard doing demos for potential clients in my time working at Nagios. So first off, Nagios XI and cybersecurity. Very important to note right away, Nagios XI is not a cybersecurity tool in and of itself, but it does alert based off of the status of certain metrics, and those metrics may be security related. So the first thing, user count. User count is definitely a great metric on any internet-facing systems, you want to know immediately if those systems are being touched, because typically you're deploying a web server and it's out there and you're not making changes to it like on a daily or even, hourly or weekly basis, hourly, daily, weekly basis. Put those in order. So basically, no one should be logged into those web servers on any kind of regular basis. So you want to know right away that someone is there. User count can also be great for remote or virtual desktop systems, especially if like the pattern of usage of those virtual desktop systems is kind of like a known quantity. Like if you've got a customer who's got like a very typical like 8 to 5 workday, why are there constantly users logged in at 2 a.m.? That the monitoring the users will give you that information. Did you also know that you can get a list of users that are logged into a system? So now we're not just looking at how many people are logged in, but actually who is logged in and when they logged in. This information can be incredibly important to an incident response team because it will literally just show them exactly exactly which accounts were used in a breach, and it just gives them threads to start pulling on when they're trying to unravel how a breach occurred. Basically just gives them a starting point, really. Bandwidth utilization. So keeping tabs on how much bandwidth is being used throughout the day can be an easy key indicator that data is being exfiltrated. If a customer does not have strict business hours, it might be a little harder to just use the bandwidth to determine that something is up. Nagios Network Analyzer can get you a little more granularity. For example, what system is talking to what other system and how much data has been transferred between those two systems in a given time period. I wanted to throw out this application Tripwire as an example of kind of custom plugins and cybersecurity kind of tied into one. I know we haven't gotten to custom plugins yet, but we'll get there. But Tripwire is a data integrity tool, and it basically just checks the integrity of configuration files. So you make changes to a configuration file, you want to make sure that they stay that way. Tripwire will monitor those configuration files and send out an SNMP trap if the files are ever changed. Nagios XI can receive those SNMP traps and notify the users about the incident. If you don't want to deal with SNMP, a lot of people don't, or maybe there's a server where SNMP traps are already supposed to be going, just due to policy reasons or what have you. Well, someone wrote an interesting plugin for Tripwire that will basically parse logs for these SNMP traps and send that information to Nagios XI. So you don't have to actually set up SNMP or anything like that to monitor this. I also want to mention something because a lot of people out there feel overwhelmed by the amount of security breaches and the size of companies that are getting hit. A lot of times people get the feeling that if these large companies are being hit, what chance do they have? And to that I say, let's talk about red versus blue. So the red team always represents the hackers, and the blue team represents the team protecting you or your customers from the hackers. Depending on the size of the customer, there might not even be an actual team. It might only be some hastily set up intrusion detection system software, put on a prosumer firewall or something like that. But what they say that the red team only needs to find one vulnerability and boom, they're in your network. What they don't say is that as soon as the red team is in your network, the tables turn. One slip up by the red team and the blue team has them. So I always tell people, let your blue team, whether this is an actual team or whether it's a monitoring tool that's monitoring metrics that you think will be key indicators of a breach, you'll just monitor every metric you can get your hands on, really. Because if you're not monitoring, you don't know. And that's where I want to kind of get into a personal story. This is not from a story from when I was working at Nagios Enterprises, but I was working for an MSP a number of years ago, and I was talking to I was having a meeting with a potential client on site. Their existing sysadmin was there showing me and his boss the new virtual desktop systems that he had built. Two servers, like $20,000 each. They had all the cores, all the memory. It was very fancy and very impressive, I'm sure. Um, but due to production restrictions, I was kind of visiting in their off hours. And the one thing that jumped out at me was on one of the servers, one of those many, many CPU cores was pegged at 100% the entire time we were watching it. After a tiny bit of digging, we found out that someone had gotten into the system and was mining Ethereum on the company's dime. So that leads me to kind of another metric that I like to tell people about, that is monitoring CPU utilization. I mean, that's a no-brainer. Monitor CPU utilization. You absolutely want to monitor that. But not just the average CPU utilization. You can also monitor individual CPU utilization. And if you're lucky enough to be asked to monitor systems with a limited number of critical applications, we have a surprise for you. You can compare the CPU utilization of a given process against the overall CPU utilization of the server, all in one graph. So if your critical application is bored, but your CPU is working hard, you know that that system is working on something that it shouldn't be working on. Okay, on to plugins and automation. So being able to create custom plugins is part of what makes Nagios XI so powerful and so flexible. It allows us to add values in all areas of information systems and technology, and automation as well. Automation is only becoming more and more critical as applications and hardware alike can be managed with code. Let's dig in. So it's impossible for us to have enough knowledge of every piece of hardware and software out there to create a plugin based on it. But other people do have that expertise with that hardware and software. And so we just make it easy for users to create and share custom plugins. No special coding language is needed, no special rules, just whatever programming language, just whatever programming language you are comfortable with, and some standardized output. Boom, you've got a custom plugin. And I had mentioned that Tripwire was a great example of that because someone was just like, I don't want to set up SNMP, so I'm just going to create a plugin that parses the logs for these Tripwire messages. I'm going to sneak this slide in here. This is actually more about integration than plugins or automation. A little bit of automation in there, automatically creating service tickets and things like that. But integration is super important. Nagios XI is able to reach out to tools or share its information with tools. So this is very useful when you have multiple third-party applications, some of which can only integrate in a single direction. Nagios XI quickly becomes the glue that holds everything together. The Nagios XI API can provide information to a third-party tool. So for example, ServiceNow can automatically create a service ticket if a host goes down. What happens there is ServiceNow periodically reaches into Nagios XI, queries the API, and gets that information to automatically create those service tickets. So this is a good application of a third-party application talking to Nagios XI. Event handlers in Nagios XI are a way to get data out of Nagios XI. So we're effectively Nagios XI is talking to another application. So here you want XI to reach out to a third-party tool. One of the awesome things about event handlers is that they just execute custom scripts. So just like plugins, event handlers can be written in any language that you want. There's no special requirements, no special rules, no special licensing requirements. Yeah, so you might have a custom script that reaches out to Ansible to take action on a particular server based off of a service check being in a specific state. So if the web server software is not running on a particular host, you could have Ansible reach out and try to restart that web server and see if that brings everything up. And then if Nagios gets, or excuse me, if Ansible gets the host back into a good state, everyone's happy. If it's unable to get it back into a good state, well, you still have Nagios XI there letting people know that there's a problem. Also, I'd like to touch on Ansible a little bit here because we do give Ansible a lot of love here at Nagios Enterprises. As is said in the open source world, Ansible is free as in beer and free as in freedom. But also one of the big draws to Ansible is that it's completely agentless, making it an incredibly popular tool for automation these days, where it seems like everything and its dog wants an agent. Ansible is very popular, very much across the pond over in Europe. Also gaining quite a bit of traction here in the US as well. So definitely something worth learning. Meeting customer needs. So this is going to be kind of a recap. Well, this is usually supposed to be a bit of a recap about what we talked about. But again, I'm going to throw my own little spin on it. So I want to talk to you about the things that customers have said to me that tip me off on which features of XI that they might be interested in. So the first quote I have here is, we have a custom application that handles XYZ for our company. So anyone saying this tells me that they have at least one person at the company who isn't afraid to do a little programming. And for them, it would be great to talk up custom plugins. If they have a fairly robust development team, they may be interested in some of the more advanced things that Nagios can do. Excuse me. Things like passive service checks, event handlers, and API integration. Let's see, plugins, API, passive service checks. I threw passive service checks in here because not a lot of people know what these are. Active service checks are where Nagios XI reaches out to a server, brings back a metric. Passive service checks are where the remote server schedules and executes its own service checks and just sends the results back to Nagios XI. The reason I bring this up is because this can be a very interesting way for Nagios XI to monitor systems it literally has no access to. So as long as that remote system can reach Nagios XI, they could send passive checks to Nagios XI and you can still get metrics out of those systems. Data diodes are another big one. The quote for that one here is, we have a secure environment that sends data to a network operation center over a data diode. So this has come up quite a lot in the last year or so. What is a data diode? There are kind of two definitions for it. There are devices that you can just purchase that facilitate sending data only in one direction. So you have two sites. Site A can send data to site B, but site B cannot send data to site A. Another way of achieving that is fiber connections. Fiber optic cable typically consists of two actual cables, one for sending and one for receiving. And what people will do is they will physically cut one of those cables so you can only send data in one direction. You can never receive data back. This is a very specialized setup, but it's also used for very secure environments. And like I said, it's come up quite a bit. And the short version, SNMP traps are going to be your key to success with these data diodes. But you can absolutely say, yes, we can monitor that to that kind of request. The next quote I have here, we have these devices, usually wireless access points, that all report back to a cloud dashboard. It's nice, but we don't want to go to multiple places to see the status of our environment. And literally what they're talking about there is that whole single pane of glass. And this is where the Nagios XI dashboards can come into play. But in order to get everything into a dashboard, we need to solve that cloud reporting piece. Now you should be able to monitor the devices that are reporting to a cloud. You should be able to monitor those, just directly with XI, maybe with SNMP. At the bare minimum, you can do some web scraping to see that dashboard, that cloud dashboard, and get those metrics off of the cloud dashboard. Excuse me, falling over my own words here. But I would personally avoid web scraping at all costs. I kind of say that as a last resort, you can do web scraping. Things that I would look at first, check out that cloud service, see if there's an API that can be queried. Most of the time there will be. That's where our JSON and XML wizards will come in handy. If it's a REST API, it's the JSON wizard. If it's a SOAP API, it's the XML wizard. The next one is we got hit with a surprise bill from Microsoft ... because ... whatever that reason might be. And we've got a wizard for that specifically. And this often catches people off guard because it is a quote unquote well-known fact that that you can't monitor Microsoft 365 with an external monitoring tool. And in fact, the origin story behind that particular wizard is really interesting, and I'll get to that here in just a moment. But my last quote here is, well, that settles it. Our IT infrastructure is now monitored. So now if we can only figure out how to monitor XYZ. So Nagios XI can monitor just about anything. If you can programmatically get that data, a plugin can be made to monitor it. And what do I mean by programmatically get that data? If you see somebody open up a command prompt and type in some commands and get some output, that is a gold mine for custom plugin. I cannot stress enough, how useful it is to be able to create custom plugins. But that's kind of the story behind the Microsoft 365 wizard. The last conference that we went to just before the pandemic hit, people were coming to us with all kinds of crazy things to monitor. And at one point we had a group of people there and we were answering questions, and someone in the group says, well, I bet you can't monitor Office 365 because it was Office 365 back then. But to which all we replied was, hold my beer. And boom, we've got an Office 365 wizard. And that's basically what we tell people, maybe not exactly hold my beer, but that's basically what we tell people when they say we can't monitor something. We can monitor it. Do we have a 100% success rate with that? Sadly, no. But in fairness, we do get pretty close to 100%. So you can say with confidence, if someone asks if you can monitor something, you can say with confidence, yes, absolutely. I can monitor that. No problem. But that's it. That's all I have for you today. Thank you for joining. I hope this helped tie together some buzzwords and common responses to those buzzwords. And hopefully it gave you some things to look into for Nagios XI and do a little bit of additional research on your own. I wish you the happiest of sales in the future. Thanks for joining.
But thank you for everyone who stayed on. Now, of course, like I said, Nagios is an actual market leader in the network monitoring space. And what does that mean? Well, one, that means credibility, right? It's credible, it's in the market. In fact, Nagios is used as an industry standard in network monitoring in Asia. In fact, when you go to university and do network engineering, generally the network monitoring tool of choice is indeed Nagios. Secondly, but on outside of that credibility, is that when it comes to the pricing and licensing model, it's actually fairly cost effective in the sense that the pricing model isn't modular. It's not like, okay, buying you're paying for effectively just the core of the product plus then extra options. You're actually getting that one issue, and then you're being able to get onto the rest of the feature set and functionality as well from that for free. So lastly, you actually get from each license in Nagios, you're actually being able to install it in 3 different ways, both in a pre-production, in a live environment, and also in kind of a disaster recovery, as opposed to having to apply 3 instances. Now, at first, of course, you're like, oh no, but I'm losing extra revenue, but because I'm not being able to sell as many licenses. But for your budget-constrained customer, that's going to actually seem fairly appealing. And the average cost size for this product as well is actually quite sizable. But I'll get to the red balloon voucher aspect, because I know that this is something that a lot of you have jumped on for. And apologies if I did share my screen beforehand in the wrong section, but I did run, based on all the attendance on the course, the attendance, I did run the actual thing. As you can see here, on the head, there's a number of you on the call. And of course, we've only done this once, one result, and the winner is indeed Peter. Congratulations on that. You'll be reached out to regarding that voucher. Obviously, with the theme of Valentine's Day, it means that by all means, please take advantage of that. Take your special someone out and enjoy that time. Yeah, no, absolutely. Congratulations on that. Please do keep in mind that we do run webinars with other incentivizations as well. So by all means, we do have an upcoming 1Password one in 2 weeks. So keep that in mind. But if anything is of interest today regarding Nagios, and particularly how this could be an extra revenue stream for your customers, by all means, please get in contact with our friendly sales team. There's a bunch of pictures of our sales team there. You may be already across who your account manager is at Aquion. If you're not, though, feel free to send an email to sales@aquion.com.au. We're always happy to help. But like I said, have a think about it. If any network monitoring solution opportunities arise, by all means, think of Nagios. So thank you so much for attending on behalf of both myself and Michael. And hopefully we'll hear from you soon. Thank you.